Project Funway in Gatos, California, and I've taught many students over the last 11 years here in this studio. And the biggest question I'm getting most recently in my email is, how do we make masks? Is this the new normal? Well, for the time being it is. And I think many people are opting for a comfortable, lightweight mask so that they certainly distance appropriately and make other people feel safe around them. I have a mask pattern that I'm putting below this YouTube tutorial that you can use, and it will accomplish 3 different types of face coverings, as we will call them. Of course, none of these are medical grade. These are face coverings that will help protect for the most part of, at least for the requirements that we're asked to obey by. I think even Costco just put out a memo saying that you have to have a face mask in order to enter. So, okay, we're gonna do it. If you want something that's pretty comfortable, 2 plies or 2 pieces of cotton, 100% cotton fabric, is the first mask that we'll be demoing within this YouTube tutorial. The second would be 2 pieces of cotton, but a piece of interfacing is put between these 2 pieces, thus making it a little bit more impermeable to moisture, because this is a non-woven material if you get the proper one, and I give you some examples in the notes. This is a Pellon in the 900 series, so it's pretty thick. You could put water on it and it doesn't go through. Of course, this does not replace a surgeon's mask or an N95, but it certainly makes it a little bit more safe per se. The third is what we're going to call the medical mask covering, and I made many of these with a friend who's a nurse who had asked for them to be used to cover the 1 mask they got per day within the hospital. And so this just allows for that mask, the mask that they'll be putting in, which is an N95 or a surgeon's mask, that they will actually insert between these pieces of cotton, and we make a little pocket on the back, and then it will give a little bit longer durability to their 1 mask, because they can wash this at night at home and use it again the next day. So it will at least help the mask that they get when they used to just dispose of them so easily, but there are not many around. So this is what I did for the hospital. So we'll do all 3, and there are directions listed below for all 3. So let's get started. What are the things you're going to be needing? Well, of course, 100% cotton fabric. It's best if you pre-wash it, because cotton does shrink. That way we know the sizing will be perfect. You'll need a sewing machine, you'll need thread, you'll need elastic. 1/4 inch elastic would be great. Anything thicker than that starts to irritate the ears, but if it's for the family and you know you're not going to be wearing it all day like those who are on the front lines, 3/8 should work as well. It's just some temporary covering so that you may enter into Costco. The other item, if you don't have elastic, and of course ask your neighbors, because in their sewing basket there's elastic everywhere, people just don't know it, we will make ties. So the ties are made out of the fabric that you already have, and you'll be cutting them and sewing them. The other option is, if you don't want to make ties, you can purchase some bias tape. Now, there are many different types of bias tape, and I recommend that you get bias tape extra wide double fold. That's what we need, extra wide double fold, and it will look much like this, and you will be seaming it together. I happen to do 2 seams on either side, about 1/8 of an inch from the end to make it look pretty. And you'll be doing about 70 inches of this to create 4 17-inch segments that you will cut out. And again, making our straps, I'll show you as well how to do that a little further into the video. So we have, with this particular pattern, 2 darts, a nose dart, which is the longer dart, and a chin dart. This will be put on like this and tied, or if you're using the elastic, the long dart at the nose, this around, whoops, this around the ears and the chin dart here. You can see. What's so great about these is they are reversible. So if you should give them to a friend and they happen not to like black, they can decide to wear the navy. It's just important that if you have two kinds of fabric, all the better. We like to have one fabric inside, one fabric outside so that you remember which way to put it on. You don't want to continually put the outside back to your face because it sort of defeats the purpose. But if you only have one type of fabric, that's okay too. We'll just put a little dot with a Sharpie or some kind of marker on the inside that you know that will always go towards your face. All right, so getting started with fabric. Fabric, cotton, is about 44 inches wide. It comes to you folded, ready to go, like this. We are going to have you download the pattern in order to set on the fabric. You'll see pattern 1, pattern 2 down below. Pattern 1 will hold letter number A. Letter number A is used for the masks that we're talking about that are the covering for our faces that are interfaced or not. If you're going to be doing a medical mask covering, then you will print out the second pattern, which gives you the two pieces that you will create that pocket for in the back. Once those are printed out, make sure you do them to scale. Make sure this, I think on the pattern you'll see there will be a 1-inch mark and you'll make sure that's 1 inch. Once the pieces are cut out, you'll see that it states to place this on fold. For the medical covering, this pocket area would be on fold here, on fold. You'll be reading that on the pattern. We're going to actually start with just the face covering, with or without interfacing. We will take our fabric and we'll fold it up 6 inches. Then we will set our pattern on fold this direction. Pin and cut. That will create 2 pieces, which equals 1 mask. We can do it again. Pin and cut, 2 pieces. Now, what's so great is this end cut is the fold area, because we're starting on the selvage area with our pattern, selvage meaning the bound edges. This is the folded edge. And if you start here, you're going to have, because of the fold, a larger piece. And you'll see this was left over from the navy that I had just cut. But when you open it up, you can fold it now the other way and place your pattern. And now you have 5 pieces. This is good if you're going to be doing in bulk, because you know one strip of 12 inches of fabric, because it's 6 folded over, can create 5 pieces. So if you do that twice, you get 10 pieces and you'll get 5 masks. You'll see some of the math I've done for you on yardage, but we'll stick to the easy stuff now. We're just going to be cutting out 1 so that you can learn how to sew it. Once it's cut out, it's important that we mark the darts. The dart marks are, of course, on the paper. When it's cut out, I suggest that you take your scissors and you do a little 1/4 inch clip and a little 1/4 inch clip right here in this area, so that we know where the dart starts. Then, once it's off, you can use your chalk, such as what I've done here, and I've created the fold dart and pinned it. Go over to the sewing machine, make sure you backstitch both times, and you'll come back with a completed dart, such as this. When you're done sewing, I'd like you to cut the dart bulk off, because we don't need it. It'll be much too bulky because there will be 2 sets of darts, the inside and the outside, so we want it trimmed like this. Now, if you're going to interface your mask to make that a little bit stiffer and a little bit more I don't even want to say the proper term, making it a little more waterproof, we'll call it that. Then you'll need to cut out the interfacing. The interfacing pattern is the original pattern. So I suggest you cut pattern 1 out twice if you're going to interface, because I've put little cutting lines here for the interfacing, which needs to be a 1/2 inch smaller all the way around except for at the fold. And when you cut it out, it will look like this. Now, interfacing can be fusible or sew in. Fusible has a glue on one side, it's the bumpy side. That, when you put under the iron and some steam, will open that glue up and it will adhere to the fabric. You want to do this before you do your darts. If you're going to use interfacing, this goes on before the darts. Once you have the darts in play, let's prepare our ties or our elastic. If you're going to use elastic, I suggest anywhere from 5.5 inches to 7 inches, depending on the size of one's head. You may want to mock one of these up, see what the fit is for your family. Everyone's measurements are a little bit different. I think I keep it to about 6 inches with this pattern and it fits most, but for some it's too big and for some they want it looser. So depending on how secure one wants it, you need to make that decision. So mocking one up, finishing it, and then determining what size is best will work well. If the mask is too big and you want to make it for a child size, just take the same pattern and reduce it by 1/2 inch, or use the interfacing marks and start there. If you reduce by 1/2 inch, it actually becomes 1 inch shorter all the way around, because it's ×2 the front and the back of those 1/2 inch seam allowances. That should give you an idea. When you've cut your elastic, I've cut this at 6 inches. We're going to attach it to the front of the mask. And I suggest that you pin it 1/2 inch down from one corner. The elastic goes around to the other corner, creating sort of a letter C. The mistake that many people do when they're pinning things is to pin it the opposite direction. You don't want to do that. You want your ties or your elastic sitting on your fabric so that you know when you sew, they're now on the inside, and when you turn it right side out, they'll be on the appropriate side. So you will pin them 1/2 inch down from each corner, and you're going to go to the sewing machine and baste those in place using no more than a 3/8 inch seam allowance, which is what we will be doing when we sew the whole sandwich together. If you're doing ties, let's talk a little bit about that. You will be cutting out strips of your fabric, 2 inch wide strips, 2 of them per mask, and I'd like you to fold them in this manner. Once they're cut, you will take it to the iron and press it halfway lengthwise. Open it up. That just gave us the center crease. So now we will fold each side into that crease. So it looks like this. And now we're going to close the book all the way, and we've created a tie. Of course, you need to go seam that. You have the choice to do a 1/8 inch seam on either side to make it look balanced, or if you're in a hurry and it doesn't really matter, go ahead and give it a seam all the way down the center, such as I did on this. I'm not sure you can see orange thread, but there it is. Those ties will be cut at 17 inches each when you're finished sewing them, and you will be attaching them to the front of your mask as well in the exact same manner. Pinning them 1/2 inch down and taking the other one and 1/2 inch down. There's no circles like the elastic, which is all connected. These are loose, so you will have 4 ties in total when you're all done. Of course, these are a little short, but I'm using them as the example. Once your ties are secure, you will need to pin everything together. So here I have my elastic already sewn in on this one, and it's time to put the whole thing together. So first thing, I match my darts. So you want your chin dart to match your other chin dart, and you're going to secure it with pins all the way across and all the way down. You're going to find that this fabric wants to retract because it's got this elastic shorter than the fabric, but you tell it who's boss by just giving it a yank and pinning it in place. You'll pin all the way around to secure, of course, the nose dart. And when you're finished pinning, this is how you will sew. My suggestion is that you put it under your machine at, here we go. We're gonna say pink side up. You're gonna put it in your machine at the chin dart, but go back an inch from the chin dart, and this is the lower edge, and start your sewing an inch from the chin dart and go all the way around, making all 4 corners and ending an inch in at the last corner. Before you turn your mask right side out, you want to make sure that you take your scissors and clip small clips up to the seam but not through by each dart, because the dart is trying to pull the fabric in the wrong direction. We need to release that tension by putting little clips both sides. Also, I'd like for you to trim your corners on your mask. You're going to trim them because we don't need the bulk when we're turning it right side out. So those are 2 important things that you want to do before you turn it right side out. And now we'll attempt to turn it right side out through our 3-inch hole. It's not too hard. And once it's turned right side out, you're going to go to the iron and you're going to press it so it looks nice and pretty, trying to keep the differing colored fabrics on the right side. So when you iron it, this side shouldn't show pink, this side shouldn't show gray. All right, it's time to put the pleats in. This is going to give you space for the face. I didn't mark the pleats on the pattern simply because they will be marked and cut off because we're turning this inside out. It's a lot easier just to do it with your fingers. So think 3/4 inch all the way. I start with the upper corner near the nose dart on this side, and I place my finger 3/4 inch down, and I take another 3/4 inch and I fold it up towards the upper edge, thus giving me almost a little more than a 1/4 inch pleat. It takes a lot of fabric to make a pleat since you're folding the fabric and it has to go back and forth a few times. Then another 3/4 inch down from our pleat mark, here it is, and another 3/4 inch down, and I have my 2 fingernails meet again, making sure that we're going upward with our pleat, and we'll pin that. And you guessed it, 3/4 inch down from the pleat we just made. I put my finger there, go another 3/4, and I fold it to itself. And we have 3 really good looking pleats. They don't have to be, or pleats, yeah. They don't have to be perfect, but it definitely adds the space to the face that we need. I'm going to go ahead and pin my hole opening as well. And you're going to be doing the same thing on the other side. Make sure you're going in the same direction. So you will actually go the opposite direction, but again, 3/4, 3/4, pin in place, 3/4, 3/4, pin and pin. When you're done, before you sew, check to make sure they are even, and these are. You'll go over to the sewing machine and finish the stitching. Seam allowance on the side, and I always start on the side. My first seam is here. Then when I'm doing the top and bottom, I go to an 1/8 inch edge stitch because I want to capture that hole that we created to turn the mask right side out. So I do an 1/8 of an inch, I come back up that edge of presser foot or 3/8, and I finish. I take it out of the machine and I go back and I do another row of stitching just to make it look pretty. Pretty is good. All right, there you have a mask. It could have interfacing in it, which we showed you how to do. You just iron it on and do the same procedure for this. But let's talk about that medical mask covering. Again, medical mask has this pocket in the back. But with these two pieces, when you're cutting out your face mask here, you will be doing one of A, one of B, and one of C, and that will create one mask. So you need 12 inches to do one mask. You can have the same fabric for the medical mask simply because you'll know the back because it has the pocket. So you might as well stick to the same fabric. Choose if you're going to use elastic or if you're going to do the ties when you do this. The only difference is you use the extra pattern. You're going to be doing your dart on one piece on the top, the little dart on the bottom, and the two darts here, just as the other, and it will look like this. But we'll have raw edges that I ask that you turn under 1/4 inch, and then 1/4 inch again, and then you'll seam. You can see the darker stitching here. That becomes this edge. So when it's time to assemble, you will do exactly like the other face mask, but we now have two pieces to put on top. So let's say our elastic is already in on both sides, or our ties, and you want to match the darts. This is the chin dart, it's smaller. So I'm going to lay that on top of the front of the mask, and I'm going to pin it in place, matching those darts. And once all of that is pinned, let's pretend I've pinned it all, then you lay, these are right sides together, by the way, right sides. We lay the other one on top, and we'll pin the dart first, pin all the way around. And yes, they should be overlapping. They need to be overlapping. You're going to sew all the way around. You don't need a hole because you already have this hole to turn the whole thing right side out. Do remember to clip near the nose darts to release the fabric and the corners before turning it right side out. So, easy to do? Pretty easy. Of course, you could make a face mask using an old t-shirt, 2 safety pins, and 2 hair ties, but you can see that as a video on YouTube. So what I love about this project is it's easy. You can use it for 3 different purposes. You can size it to scale and have a little fun. If we're gonna have to wear face masks in this season, which is not my favorite, I've made many, but I haven't wanted to wear them, you might as well make them look pretty. So I have a few ideas. I have one with an applique. Why not have a little lace? Why not add a little bit of flair with a few daisies or buttons or any trim whatsoever? And this one I kind of like because I'm putting ruffles. Why not? If I'm going to have to look scary with a mask, I might as well make it look pretty. And you know all those decorative stitches that you have on your machine and you've never known what to do with them, now's your chance. Play with them. There's so many pretty ones. You can see I put a row on top of this one. Of course, remember these are reversible, so you choose which side, or if you're giving them as gifts, they can choose which side. And just in case you want to really throw everyone, I suggest putting on a smiley face. If you want to see the website, it's projectfunway.com. Girls, many of you who have learned to sew, there are at least 500 or more. This is your chance. Make your family, some friends, maybe some elderly neighbors. I know so many calls that I get just because people are desperate to get them and they cannot find them. So I can't think of a better May Day gift than to give your friend a mask. All right, thanks so much.